Hey everyone, welcome to this speed build video. Today I am building a tiny house because the tiny living stuff pack just came out and I actually don't own it yet. So I wanted to build a base game tiny house for everyone who is in the same boat as me and doesn't have the pack yet but still wants to be in on all the tiny house fun. So this is a tiny house that you can use even if you don't own any packs. It is completely base game, so everybody will be able to play in this tiny house. There will be no benefits obviously if you don't have the stuff pack, because I believe that if you build a tiny house with the new stuff pack installed, you actually get some benefits like building your skills faster or being more happy all of the time. Your Sims will get those kind of benefits, but I don't have the stuff pack, and if you're watching this video, you might also not have the stuff pack, so you won't be able to enjoy those perks, but you can still enjoy the aesthetics of a tiny house. So that's why I built this one, and this is actually gonna be kind of like a gardening vibe kind of tiny house because there's actually a greenhouse attached to it. I found a picture of a tiny house like that on Google and I really wanted to recreate it, so that's what I did today. It's very like cabin in the woods vibe, lots of wood around it, very natural looking, and there's a greenhouse and a garden, and I actually left some space for more gardening for your Sims to do too. So if you have a Sim that enjoys gardening, this would be a perfect tiny house for them. There are lots of plants around the place, lots of plants inside, and like I said, lots of wood. I decorated the entire thing almost entirely in all wooden furniture, kind of like it was all handmade, built by one person, that kind of vibe. That is what I was going for. What I particularly liked about this specific tiny house was that the greenhouse was actually attached to the porch that was also attached to the house itself, so it looks like it's all part of one building, part of one structure, instead of having like a tiny house and then next to it a greenhouse. I really like the way that it was all connected to each other. I started out with this really big wooden fence around the porch, but I didn't like the way that it was blocking almost half of the greenhouse, so you couldn't see any of the plants inside, and I really wanted that to be kind of part of the aesthetic, part of the decoration. So I ended up removing the fence and actually kind of hand making one with plants and other things that we have in The Sims, because there is not a smaller solid wooden fence in the base game of The Sims 4. So I actually ended up doing that by hand, and I really liked the way it looked, but it cost a lot. So this tiny house is not very cheap. It is actually quite expensive, so I'm sorry if you were looking for kind of a starter home. If you are looking for a tiny starter home, I actually did make one a couple of years ago and it is still up on the gallery. I believe one of them is actually only 5,000 simoleons because I tried to make the cheapest possible starter homes. So there are different kind of levels of tiny homes that I have on the gallery, so if you want to look that up, my origin ID will be in the description so you can look it up. This house will also be uploaded to the gallery, and that will also be under that same origin ID if you're looking for it. Another part of this tiny house that I really liked is this big wooden structure that is above the porch. I really like this technique where you use the lowest fence that there is in The Sims and you kind of draw out this structure pattern and then remove the ceiling or the floor, depends on how you look at it, I guess. And then you get this kind of like see-through structure of just, I don't know, looks really cool, I think. I actually learned that technique while I was watching other speed builds. I don't know where I saw it first, but I have seen other Simmers do it quite a lot. And now I am working on that sort of handmade fence that I was talking about before. I actually don't know when these plants were added into the game, but I don't think they've been there for a very long time because I saw them for the very first time when I was doing this build. Now, I haven't played The Sims a bunch lately, but I do believe that these weren't in the game before. So if you know when these were added to the game, please let me know in the comments because I would like to know. Since this is a gardening gardening type of vibe, I did end up putting a lot of plants around the place, outside, inside, and I used a lot of those terracotta pots because they just give off a gardening vibe, like there's actual dirt in there, actual soil, and you're kind of growing your own plants instead of just buying them. So you can see me put a lot of those both outside of the house and inside of the house because they just give up a very natural vibe, like there's someone who knows what they're doing with plants in this place. So now we're kind of done with the main structure of the house. So all there's left to do is just decorating the inside of the house and the garden. And I think that the next thing I am doing is actually decorating the greenhouse. And I didn't leave a lot of space to actually garden. Actually, I didn't leave any space to garden. So if you're gonna download this house and play in it, you might want to delete some of the plants that I put in there and actually make space for you to grow plants, for your Sims to grow plants. But I wanted it to look nice for like the screenshots and just like aesthetic wise. And maybe you don't even want to play like actually garden in this build, then you can just download it and pretend your Sim is a gardener and not actually do anything with it. You can see me put down those planter boxes where you can actually put like plants and grow them, put seeds in them, like grow trees and plants and fruits and flowers and all those kind of things. But I just put some like decorative plants and flowery things in there, so it's not actually like functional at the moment, but if you want to use them you could just delete those and put in some actual like plants you can sell and make money from. And I also left some empty space on the lot. Even if you put it on the smallest lot that there is in the game, there still be some space for you to plant trees and grow other plants and stuff like that. I wanted the greenhouse to be really saturated with a lot of plants, so I put these kind of like tables. I don't actually know what they're called. They're kind of like those tables you put in the hallway just to fill up space, you know what I mean? Or like somewhere in a living room or maybe below your TV, or I don't actually know what they're called. I don't think I know the Dutch word for it, and I don't think I know the English word for it. So if there is a word for it, please let me know so I can describe it better next time. But I wanted the greenhouse to be very, very saturated with plants, so I put a lot of plants on those tables so it looked very busy and like someone is actually using it and growing a lot of flowers and other pretty looking plants. So next up I am working on the interior, and I actually did spend a lot of time trying to make this space more practical looking because it is a tiny house. There is not a lot of storage spaces usually. And of course you don't actually need storage spaces in The Sims, but I just wanted it to look like it was also a functioning space and not just one that would work in The Sims, but one that would work in real life too. So I did spend some time trying to like make this bed with like storage space beneath it and make a makeshift staircase thing happening that is also storage space, but turns out that really doesn't work. Your Sim cannot sleep in that bed anymore. I was really hoping that would kind of like glitch inside of it and it would work, but it did not, so I had to remove that, unfortunately. But yeah, I tried to put a lot more like shelves and things around the place so it kind of looked like there was some storage space, but I think we all have to kind of use our imagination here because I think if this was real life there wouldn't be enough place to keep your things, unless you of course don't have a lot of stuff, then it would be fine. But for me, I would not have enough storage space if I would live there. So I started out the interior with my usual style, very modern, lots of pastel colors, a lot of white, but I very quickly realized that this really didn't match with the style of the outside of the build, so I switched it up and made it more of a cabin in the woods kind of vibe with a lot of wooden furniture. Kind of looks handmade and rustic. I even put a fireplace in there, so very like warm and cozy. I tried to make it, but also like a very neutral palettes, a very neutral color palette. So wooden colors, beige, that kind of style, which is not what I usually go for, but I felt like this really matched the style I was going for. I also put a lot of plants in there, so any storage space that there would be is pretty much covered in plants, but we're going full on for the plant aesthetic, so I couldn't really pass up on that one. You can also see that I started playtesting my build now. So I put a sim in there and I made sure that she could sit everywhere, use all of the items like the computer, the TV, sleep in the bed, everything like that. I put a double bed in there. I am not actually 100% sure if two sims can use that because it is next to a wall, and when I tested it, my sim did not want to move over towards the wall to make place for the other sim. So I don't know if there's gonna be room for two sims in here, but I just find a single bed to be quite sad looking. It just looks really lonely to me, and I associate it more with like a teen bedroom or a kid bedroom than like an adult living space. So I really wanted to put a double bed in there. I'm also pretty sure that I forgot to put a sink in the kitchen, so I will fix that before I upload it to the gallery. We do have enough bench space for me to put in a sink, but I'm pretty sure I forgot. Yeah, I think looking at it, I forgot. So I will put a sink next to the stove, and then the island counter can be used for like cutting and everything. So the kitchen will still be functional, but it would be pretty nice if there's a sink in there so they don't have to walk to the bathroom every time they need to use the sink. And you can also see me start to really put a lot of plants in this build. I went all out on the plants because I really wanted to continue that gardening vibe, and I felt like, you know, if you're a gardener, you probably also have a lot of plants inside of your home. So I really like cluttered every single surface that we have in this build with a bunch of plants and flowers and stuff like that. Even up on the shelves that I am putting above the bed right now, I also put a bunch of plants, but also some more functional stuff. There's like a basket of like bathroom stuff, and some, I don't know, tissues and pens, I guess. I don't know what I actually put up there, but some more useful stuff is up there too, along with many plants and books. And books are functional now. If you put like a stack of books somewhere, your sims can actually use it as a bookcase. Before, you actually like had to put in a physical bookcase if you wanted your sims to read books, but now they actually made every single like clutter item that has books also functional. Those books up on the shelves are actually functional. Your sims can use them, which is great because that saves us space. Not that a bookcase is essential, but it is quite nice that we can now like just have some books up on a shelf, and our sims can read now. They can have skill books. You can level up those gardening skills, buy some garden books, or I don't know, have some entertainment. Not that there is not enough entertainment in this room. There's literally a really big TV and a computer, but whatever. Books are great. I love books. And here I am switching that table to a fireplace because I thought it fit the style really well. Unfortunately, I scaled down the fireplace because it didn't fit full scale. And that also meant that all the plants snapped to a higher surface. So here I am painstakingly placing down all of those plants individually on the right height so it fits on top of our fireplace. I don't know if that's like a risk, having plants on a fireplace. I don't think they will catch on fire. I hope they don't. I don't know if that's a risk in real life or in The Sims. Also, a rug underneath the fireplace does not seem safe, but I think it's fine. I don't think the place will catch on fire. Otherwise, good luck. Maybe I should have play tested that. I don't actually know how it works in The Sims 4. I believe that in older games you could like put rocks next to it and they would catch on fire, but I've not noticed that in The Sims 4. So that might not be a thing. Let me know. If it is, I will move it. I will upload it to the gallery again without a rock nearby, so no one's Sims actually die from my build. So I just put kind of like an improvised closet space next to the door, just a small little wardrobe kind of things, just like some shelves. No, not shelves. What's the word? Drawers. Bless me. Drawers next to there, so you can just imagine like a sock drawer or something like that. And then I just hung up some racks with clothes on them. I don't know if that's a functional thing. I believe it is, but capsule wardrobes are apparently very popular right now, where you just have like a rack of clothes in your house. So I was kind of going for that. Felt like it fitted with the minimalist tiny house vibe, and also closets are just really big in The Sims and they just block your view when you play the game, and I don't like that, so I ended up going for this. And then lastly, after I added some more decoration, I am building the bathroom. I went for this nature type of stone because again it goes with that natural nature vibe that I was going for. It is actually quite a luxurious bathroom. It's quite big for a tiny home, but I just had this very natural floor plan because it's just like a tiny room next to it, and I thought, well, I guess I'm making this a bathroom and it doesn't really make sense for me to make it any smaller now because it looks good on the outside. So it's actually quite a big bathroom for a tiny house, but I like the way it looked. Also, the way the toilet is right now, that is not functional. I play tested that later and I switched it up. So the one that is on the gallery actually has a functioning toilet. This one does not. I tried to make it this way because I didn't like the way it looked against like the covered up window. But I ended up having to put it there anyway because this way your Sims will not be able to use the toilet, and that can get quite disastrous. So yeah, I did change that. And now we're moving on to the final part of this build, I believe, which is the garden at the back of the build. I made this one really like structured and neat looking, and just very well kept because again I felt like if there is a gardener living here, they will probably keep up quite well with their garden and make sure everything looked really nice. It's kind of like their business card in a way. It's just showing off their own skills. So I made this path and just like very like neatly spaced out places for the plants to go, and also an outdoor kitchen, which I thought would be really nice. I just placed a barbecue and some cabinets. No, not cabinets. What's the word for it? Counters. Yes, I placed a barbecue and some counters out there, so you can grill some stuff on the outside too if you know your Sims are sick of being stuck in a small place. They can go outside and just enjoy cooking and eating outside on those chairs. And I don't know, it also just filled up some space. If I'm being honest, I'm really bad at landscaping. It's like one of my worst skills in The Sims. I don't know what it is about landscaping that just I'm horrible at it. So I really tried with this garden. I kind of like the way it turned out. Let me know if it's like okay looking. I'll keep working on it. I'm sure I'll get better at it at some point if I just keep trying. But yeah, I was actually quite happy with this garden at the back. And as you can see, I also left some empty space even on a tiny lot for some plants to go, so you can use the space on the left there. And that is it. This is the build. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you very soon.